Well, I think a couple of things. One is I really like what you're saying because it brings up to my mind a conversation we had a couple of days ago where you know the sentence that you shared. You know, feeling is an essential component of living, and I and that really struck a chord with me because most of us, you know, especially people of our generation, right? I think this dates our age. That we were taught to be more logical, right? You know, you study hard,
Yeah,
you know you get a good degree, you work hard, you be with your employer, and you know she'll be right, mate. That was it, right?
exactly right. Exactly right. That's such a ingrained conditioning, you know, and I'm not even like yeah. And if you're not doing that, it's like, this must be something wrong, you know, like there's something really wrong. But what happens is that if we, what I found with that is that sort of desire to, that miswanting, I guess, of the mind, that getting a good job, getting a good education, getting, you know, a good property or whatever, is like, would make you, after that, everything will fall into place, you know. But I guess from my
Yep.
experience, it didn't happen. And the ability of coming to a place where, you know, you give yourself the space in your life to actually just feel. And it's about being alive, isn't it? Like to feel what's going on in your
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe a bridge that we could maybe share, because there'll be a lot of people who are, you know, viewing our conversation later, saying, "Hey, look, you know, I was brought up in a similar type of environment where, you know, we were brought up with this type of conditioning, this type of behavior patterns, and how do I actually dispel the myths in my mind? Actually, you know, that yoga and mindfulness and meditation actually works. I mean, for people who are brought up in today's environment, you know, the things that we're talking about is more mainstream, right? And there are so many different branches, like you say, of wellness, meditation, and you know, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual practices. But for people like us, how do we connect this logical conditioning towards more of an emotional and mental acceptance, I suppose, that you know it is okay to feel, it is okay to come back to the sensations in our body, to truly understand who we are, you know, in this entire process of being more human, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we actually take a step towards, you know, getting more information or knowledge to dispel this myth, to say, you know,
Yeah.
this is real for me now? Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the first thing is that the listening that we want to do in our body is a different language. It's almost like I akin it to, you're learning a different language, right? So so I would say, go gently, go kindly. That's always been my motto. It's not something that you need to work hard at. It's actually it's a it's a lot about a willingness and a curiosity of like what's actually happening there. Because we live in a society, it's not even just like, I think there is a, we live in, you know, in developed society, there's so much value placed on what's between these ears here, right? Whereas I think that the whole idea of the mind is actually not up here, it's actually in here. Right? And and that requires a different way of listening. And it could be listening to just really gentle kind of vibrational sense. Unfortunately, in a lot of our cultures now, it's like, even, and I would say to a certain extent, certain types of yoga, where when you start to go into those movement practice, it's almost like a workout rather than a work in.
Yeah.
That so much is emphasized on the shape that you create rather than the emphasis of the listening, that is really what the practice is actually inviting us to do, you know, because we are so focused on creating this kind of like straight shapes that we actually have lost that ability to listen. So even like practices that were meant to be very somatically based, so somatic just basically means your inner experience, so have turned into like shape forming. Because when we go fast, we don't feel.
Yeah. So one of the things that, you know, we hear a lot now is slow down, be more, you know, and it's this whole being open to the experience, having curiosity, and learning to listen to our body. You know, one of the books that I like is by Deb Shapiro. You know, Our Body Speaks Our Mind.
Mm-hmm.
And just going back to that intuitive feeling, right? And this sentence just popped up in my head. You know, the noise in our head is drowning out the song in our heart. Really,
So true.
isn't it?
So
It's so
true.
true. Yeah.
So true.
So with the work that you know that you've experienced and that you continue doing in the area of yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, how do we actually take the first step maybe in this transition from, you know, reducing the noise in our head and tuning up the song in our heart?
Yeah, I think one of the very, you know, I love simple practices because I think having practice, you know, right through from being a 19-year-old to a parent, you know, being pregnant and, you know, being a parent and stuff, you know, I think whatever we do in our practices need to really meet our lives with honesty, with truth. Obviously, it's not saying, oh, I don't want to practice just because I don't want to practice, but, you know, like you gotta. So I think, you know, like one simple thing is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes each day, if you can, pause, sit down, you know, like it could be actually standing, it doesn't have to be sitting down. Pause and just, you know, I like to use my hands, you know, because that gives us like kind of pointers. So, you know, pause and put one hand on the heart, put one hand on the belly, just kind of notice how you're breathing, how you actually, just like a check-in. That's it, nothing fancy, right? And I think when you start with that, and then that might actually, you know, start to give you information. Yeah. I mean, I don't call it, you know, intuition, gut feel for no reason. I don't think, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.